So today I'm recording a reactions style video. Apparently the team's put together a bunch of videos that have gone viral and they wanted to get my take on it and get my feedback and my raw thoughts on it. So I'm going to watch the videos and give you some feedback here and see what I think.
I don't want to seem desperate.
There's a difference between desperate and you need to push. I had a complaint today. Hey man, your guys are just pushing for a sale. I'm like, yeah, and that's exactly what they should be doing. Look, for you guys out there that are worried about your team being pushy, I don't want to be too pushy.
Pushy, okay, he's talking about being pushy. I think maybe selling certain types of products, it could be good to be pushy. I don't think in the buyer's agency space, if you just hustle and you're pushing, that's going to go down too well.
You don't want to be pushy because you are desperate and you're not pushy.
He's saying people don't want to be pushy because they are desperate. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me, but I think you should learn to do the other way around. If you are desperate, you do want to put an energy out that you're not attached though. I've got a distinction I use here with my team and I call it committed versus attached. So the word pushy, probably just a bit triggering for people in Australia. I think pushy implies pressure, but committed means that you're committed to helping somebody. So that might come across pushy sometimes, but if you're committed and you really know your product and your service and you believe it's going to help somebody, I think there's a difference between being committed to that and holding true to that line and maybe testing somebody versus being pushy. Let's see what else Grant has to say.
Look, the reality is this. If you want to grow your business and scale your business, you need to push. We make 8,300 phone calls a day outbound, most of which are repetitive phone calls to people that decided not to buy. Okay. Now, if it was just going to be, hey, answer their questions, provide them with the information and boom, 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 everybody was going to flop. Guess what? We would get maybe 20% of our business. We'll do about $150 million out of this one floor that I'm sitting on right now. And about 30 million of that 150 comes in because somebody wanted a product or service. The other 80% comes because we insisted, because we are desperate, because we are pushing for our customer that didn't flop and fall off the tree, that we got to go pick. We got to go climb the tree and we got to pull that apple out of the tree. Okay. It takes some effort and it takes persistence and it takes consistency. Like we do a 3-3-2 call. If you didn't buy from me, I'm calling you 3 times that day. I need 3 different reasons in day 1 to call back that customer. You're like, oh my God, I can't even imagine that. He'll get hit with 2 emails that same day. On the second day, I'll do 3 more calls. And on the third day, I will do 2 more calls. Do I seem desperate?
Well, I think if you did that here in Australia, you'd probably get ghosted and blocked. Someone would think you'd have a little bit of a problem. If you're like, if I finished a call with a client looking into buyer's agency services, then called them 2 to 3 more times that day to say, what's your decision? What are you doing? Are you going to come on board? And then email them twice the next day. I feel like that's going to come across as a bit too desperate. In Australia, they call that commission breath. And so I get it. You do have to be persistent. We do hundreds and hundreds of calls a day finding properties for people. I think though, selling a high value service where people are, our clients are typically professionals, they're busy, they're very smart people, they do want to make their own decisions. I think you're better off as a buyer's agent to ask more questions, have people come up with a conclusion themselves that the service suits them, and sure, challenge and I guess push back in some areas, really challenge somebody. But again, I'm always a firm believer that the decision somebody makes for themselves is far stronger than you telling them what to do or being pushy about it. So that's the way I view this. Let's have a look at the next video.
What is your go-to discovery question?
What prompted you to take this meeting with me today?
I like saying, let's pretend it's
What prompted you to take this meeting with me today? We have a similar one, which would be along the lines of, what caused you to want to book a call with us today? It's the same sort of thing, but generally if someone's booked a meeting with you, there's a reason behind it. So I actually quite like that question. Let's listen to the next guy.
12 months from now. You've hired me, we've done the training, and you're looking back. What do you need to accomplish in order to come back to your team and be like, I'm so glad we made this investment? And usually when I ask that question, they really think big picture about the outcomes that they want to accomplish, which is what I want. The moment you find...
I don't mind that one. If you were to use, say, NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, if you've studied any of that, which I happen to be a practitioner of that little side thing that I did, they call that future pacing. So getting somebody's mind into the future. I think as a first part, not necessarily an initial part of a discovery call, but part of further on down the discussion. I kind of think of that meeting that you're going to have with a client to talk about buying them a property, most of it should really sit in what are the challenges, what are the problems they're having, what are they coming up against. No one buys a Panadol unless they have a headache. Let's listen to the next guy.
Problem in your discovery calls, you want to turn that problem into a story. And the way that you're going to do that is you're just going to ask, when was the moment you realized that that was a problem? And you will always get a story in return.
What do you mean by that? It's really easy to just assume you understand what someone's saying, but like actually admitting that you don't has been really much more helpful.
What is making this?
Well, that's a really good one as well. What I would suggest you do is tell me more about that, because generally speaking, people's first response to maybe a question that you ask them is the surface level reason. And then it's about going, why is that important? Why is that important? Why is that important? And understanding the deeper driver behind someone's response. And that lady's comment there of tell me more about that, we use a similar one as well. I think it's a good one.
Making this such a priority right now just unpacks the layers and layers, because all discovery is you're peeling back the onion and you're getting to the bottom and the root cause of like what the actual challenge is.
I'd leave the priority part toward the end. Is this really a priority for you? Do you need it? You know, what would happen if you don't use a buyer's agent would be something that I think is worth asking. My go-to for the start of the call would be, from what you know about us and what you've seen about buyer's agents so far, how do you think we can best help you? It immediately takes someone's mind to like, how can they help me? And immediately takes them to start to think, well, you know, what is it that I need help with the most, kind of thing. And that's where you really want to spend most of your time in the discovery calls. Let's look at the next one.
By far the most common question, and for obvious reasons, how do buyer's agents charge? Some people charge a
Controversial on this one. I'll be interested to see what this guy's saying. How do buyer's agents charge?
percentage of the purchase price, and some people charge a fixed fee. A percentage structure, it makes sense if you're on the selling side, as you're trying to get the highest price for the client, and the more you sell the property for, the more you get paid. For a buyer's agent, however, I'm trying to get you the cheapest price.
Let me just address that a little bit first. So yeah, sure, if you're on a percentage base, the more you spend of someone's money, the more you get paid. But if you actually work the figures out, if you spend $50,000 more of somebody's money, that's going to roughly be $1,200, $1,300, $1,400 or thereabouts extra fee. Take tax out, take costs out, $400, $500, $600 is really what it nets out to be. It's not really the driver for most buyer's agents, I don't believe. It's certainly not for us. I would rather that you tell your friends we did a great job, and then they you refer further business to us that we sign on. You're not going to say that if you feel like you spent $50,000 too much just so we could earn an extra, $500, $600 in commission. So as a buyer's agent, I think you can use something along those lines to discuss the fee structures and yours being a percentage. Also, I think as well, there are a lot of fixed fee arrangements around. Often that's in the investment space, where it's the same sort of property, the same sort of approach, like over and over again, similar price point. We're more boutique style agency, and if that's you as well, if you're in a city, we do more owner-occupier style property. The higher you get up in price, the harder those negotiations are, and the more value you can actually add. So anyway, let's see what else he has to say.
And a percentage means the more I spend for a property, the more I would get paid. So that doesn't make too much sense to me. The investment from our clients, it's split into two.
I see, and for most people it doesn't. Again, it comes down to trust. If you've walked through your process and how you work and what you're going to do for someone, a percentage is just a really easy scale to work with. I've seen different models, and he might be about to talk about it, where it's maybe it's up to a certain point, it's a price, then from up to $1 million, it's one price, from 1 to 1.5, it's another, from 1.5 to 2, it's another. I've also seen that disincentivized negotiation as well, because let's say you're just above the 1.5, if you negotiate it below that, then you're missing out on a big chunk, because there's usually a fair gap between the two segments. Other people just do a fixed price across the board. And again, I think that's more maybe suited for investment style agencies.
To two. The first investment is a few $1,000s up front, then the remaining amount is paid at settlement only once we've secured you a property. We've seen buyer's agents charge as little as $10,000 to $12,000, all the way up to 35 to 40 grand. If you're about to spend $1 million on a property, if a 1 to 2 grand difference is your deciding factor, you're looking at it completely wrong. Look for someone who has runs on the board personally and a business track record of buying the types of properties that you are after.
I agree, actually, that if there's a difference in fee between you and somebody else, and let's say it's $5,000, work on that amount and discuss how you feel you can add more value that justifies that difference in the fee, so to speak. That's a good way to approach it. Let's check out the next one.
You've all had someone doubt you at some point, but what if you were the one that doubted you? Listen, doubt is a traitor. It's a traitor. Okay? And so what if you were the enemy?
This is really talking to, in the best way I think this can help you, is that when I started out in buyer's agency, and a lot of people are starting out, you will have a lot of doubt. You're going to be not sure. You might have come from a different industry. There's going to be 1,000 different things that you are not aware of. And the best way, there's a few ways, but the best ways to then help you with this doubt side of things is you have to spend every weekend going in and out of properties and start to become the expert in your area, in the types of properties, and immerse yourself in it. Learn as much as you can. Treat this like you're a professional sportsman, and you've got to train every single day. You've got to practice. You need to learn everything that you can about your craft, because the more that you know about property, about pricing, about the market, about how sales strategies work, about types of houses, about building materials, the more you know about all of this, the less that's going to help you with your doubt. The other thing that will help you with your doubt is the mindset side of things. So thinking of someone that you know that has no doubt and looking at emulating that person and bringing their sort of traits into your persona, so to speak. They're the two key ways, but really get out there, learn, immerse yourself, get amongst it and practice all of the pieces of the puzzle that you need to cover when you're being a buyer's agent. Let's see what else he has to say.
And so in sales, what I've learned is that the customers aren't bad customers. They requested information. They want to do business with you. But if you don't believe and if you doubt yourself, it's over. Also, secondly,
that's an interesting point, and it's one of those points where if you don't believe and you doubt yourself, that people can sense that. So there's a saying, game recognizes game. If you know what you're talking about, you know what you're doing, someone else will recognize that within you. If you don't, they'll also recognize that, and that could be a bit of a downfall, and that will be a hard hurdle for you to get over if you don't address it.
this is a big problem. Confidence. A lot of people don't have confidence. I'll be honest with you. If you don't take very good care of yourself, you're not going to have a lot of confidence. If you don't train, you don't study, you don't prepare, you don't practice, you're not going to have any confidence. If I get in...
Exactly. Confidence comes with competence. Competence comes with the things I said earlier: studying, learning, understanding. Being competent in something means practicing it, doing it over and over again. Get out there, practice it, immerse yourself, get around other people that know about the industry, about, as I said before, building, construction, town plan, zoning, all of those sorts of things. Get in and immerse yourself around it.
An objection, and I haven't practiced like overcoming objections for hours and got my reps in. Well, when someone comes to me with an objection, how am I going to have confidence? I haven't even practiced, right? It's like people are like professional.
I have a saying that I say around our office: amateurs practice on clients, professionals practice between each other. They actually learn, they practice, they test things out, not on a client in a call or in a real life situation. Think about a pilot does a lot of hours in a simulator before they go and fly a plane. They're not just let loose on a plane. They have to learn a lot first, learn the controls, learn the dials, the gauges, all of those sorts of things. When I started out in buyer's agency, I had some recordings of client calls, of different things like that I would listen to in the car. And I basically memorized the whole calls backwards, and I would listen to it daily, every single day. So I suggest find ways to practice. It might be find somebody who is at a similar stage to you, organise to catch up each week and do some role plays. We're building a community with elite buyers agents. We'll have a link to a new group coming out shortly, but stay tuned for that. You can join that community. There'll be a whole bunch of other buyers agents in there. You can learn from each other. If you're in a business, obviously, then set up times where you can do role plays in the office. That's the best way to really get this sorted and to practice. Let's see what the next video is.
How many buyer's agents, percentage-wise, do you think shouldn't be in the industry?
I'd say probably 85 to 90%.
This is going to make some headlines.
So 85 to 90% of people shouldn't be in the industry. Interesting, right? I mean, it's such a good industry that it's going to attract people to want to be in this industry. Shouldn't be in there is probably a big call. I think everyone has a right to have a go at something new and try it out. I think what Simon is trying to say here is that they don't have the skill yet to be in the industry. Now, I don't disagree with that part of it. There's a lot of people, the industry's quadrupled in 2 years. So there's a lot of people that have joined our industry that don't have the skills and are charging fees, and clients are paying for them and they don't yet know too much about what they're doing. It's quite different to the sales industry. I blame the fact that, well, there's nothing to blame, but it's really that there actually aren't enough experienced buyer's agents who could take on an associate, because the best way you should be coming into this industry is as an associate. The associates that we have in our team are extremely highly trained, and I would say more highly trained than 90% of buyer's agents out in the market. And so I agree with that statement there as well. Let's see what else Simon has to say here.
Most buyer's agents overpaid.
I would say that they're not worth the fee that they're given.
Who told you that?
Most buyer's agents not worth the fee that they're given. I actually agree. If you don't have the experience and you haven't been through enough negotiations, you haven't seen enough property to understand it well, you haven't seen enough campaigns, you're early on in the piece and you're charging $15,000, $20,000, I don't know that you've really earned that yet. When I started out, I did things at a really low rate because I didn't actually believe that I had the skill yet to be charging a higher fee. So I did things for a really small fee. And that helped me get my experience up though. I mean, you could even go out and do things without a fee to learn and to do, to get some deals under your belt and to really, and then ask that client if they want to pay you, sure. That was my first deal actually. The first deal that I did, a lady came to me, I used to work in corporate, in IT, and I left there, I did some property development, and this lady comes to me and said, can I get your help? And I said, yes, no problems. I scoured the market, I found her different options, I did the negotiations and helped her secure a property, and I did it for free. She said, how do I pay you? And I said, I don't know, you just pay me whatever you think. This is my comment at the time. A couple of weeks later, she came back and she paid me in cash in an envelope. And she said, look, I looked it up, you did what a buyer's agent does. And I didn't know what a buyer's agent was then. This is in 2009, or thereabouts, 2010. And that's when I registered my first buyer's agency. But that's how I got my first client. I did the work for free. I did those things that I mentioned previously in this episode here, as in I immersed myself in property. Every weekend I was out looking at properties. A good thing that you could do, sorry, it's not related to this reel, but a good thing you could do is, if you're currently in a role and you drive into the city or something for work, well, this is what I did. I drove a different route every day so I could drive through suburbs and see what was happening. And if I saw properties being built, I'd stop in, talk to the builders, ask them about the houses and see if I could get some prices on what they cost to build, that kind of thing. And that's what I used to learn about the industry and to immerse myself in it. Let's see what else there is to say from Simon here.
Who told you that you're crazy to do this?
Everyone said I was crazy.
What do you have on the line that maybe no one really knew?
Everything. My dad had got sick. My whole family relied on this business, and so...
That is a really interesting point, actually, because I speak to so many people every week who also have a lot on the line wanting to make this move into buyer's agency, and I had a lot on the line as well. When I moved into this space, we went through phases where we didn't know how we were going to cover our costs for the following weeks. It was a very, very difficult time in the first few years trying to get this type of business off the ground. It was extremely difficult, but I had a gut feeling and a belief that I was here to do something more and that I could give more and that I could achieve a lot more than a normal wage with CPI increase. Nothing wrong with that, by the way, but it just wasn't suiting and fitting in with me. I just felt like I wanted to do something more and take control of my life more. So I had a lot on the line. Literally in the last 2 or 3 weeks, I've met with a lot of people who are moving into this industry for the same reason. So I really don't think that having any bad thoughts about those people because they don't have any experience and they're coming into the industry. And this is actually the whole reason why I started this podcast and I've gone down this path, is because I see that this can change your life, and it will if you get the right guidance and it's done properly, or it will become a very big grind and very, very difficult if you don't. So it's an exciting industry. It can take you a long, long way. But there's, I think, a real middle ground between learning enough to get yourself started and then actually getting success. And so not plugging this podcast any further, but that's what it's all about, really. This is the reason why I'm doing this. So anyway, let's see what else there is to say here.
If it didn't work, I guess I was letting my whole family down. And I would say for at least the first 3 years, I was getting by. Cone Handler, there's way more behind the name to what we stand for. I'm so passionate about what I do.
Come through.
I just learned at a young age that if I wanted something, I had to get it myself. And there's a lot of things I want, so I knew I had to work very hard to get there. The real thrill should come from negotiating a low price. Not paying the price that any idiot can pay just to get it across the line.
That's going to upset a lot of people.
No, I'm not here to make people feel good.
Paying the low price becomes back to product knowledge, market knowledge, learning how to negotiate. So that's where the real value is going to be, and especially as well since, as you all know, AI is coming, and it's coming fast, and it's going to take away all of the more basic, simple, routine tasks in property. It's going to probably help value the more regular types of property that are out there. So it's going to push the requirement for you to have a higher level of skill sooner. I think you want to level up as fast as you can so that you can stand out, because really it's going to come down then to your relationships. It's going to come down then to your ability to understand the market, the psychology of the process and the negotiation and sales. It's going to come down then to as well boutique styles of properties where there isn't data to support or to help you understand what it's worth and where it should trade at. I think this is where everything's going to head. I will talk about AI in future episodes, but for now that's the reactions episode. Let me know what you think. Leave some comments. What are your thoughts about all of those different topics? And I'll see you in the next episode.